France, 1831. In a remote corner of Ardèche, the little village of Parbet sees numerous travelers pass through. A family of greedy rural farmers is determined to make its fortune and has devised a diabolical stratagem to achieve this goal. Invest in an inn so they can rob traveling guests, getting rich without arousing the suspicions of the police. Whether or not their plan will work out, one thing is certain. Not every guest will leave this inn alive. Welcome to Duality Gamecast, the show for people who love to play games.
Greetings everybody and welcome to a Duality Gamecast Battle Royale. This time we're talking the Bloody End. So let's get to the table and see how it plays.
In the Bloody Inn, players are innkeepers who seek to rob their guests, murder them, and bury their corpses. At the end of the game, the player who has acquired the most money wins. Each player has one or more rooms in the inn the guests will be staying in each night. On a player's turn, they may choose one of 5 actions. Bribe a guest, adding the guest to your hand. Build an annex, transforming a guest card into a building to bury bodies under and gain special abilities. Kill a guest to later bury and rob. Bury a guest, placing them under a building and collecting money. Or pass, do nothing except cash in money for checks that will be victory points at the end of the game. Players take 2 actions each round. The game ends when the deck is depleted for the second time.
The Bloody Inn by Pearl Games. It's a game for 1 to 4 players. It's a quick card game. Matt, how's the play?
The play is smooth. It's both unique and not, so I think it's kind of accessible. I've never seen a card game really structured this way, but I think it pulls off mechanics that you would see in a lot of other games. It's bloody. I like the theme quite a bit, and it comes through for me. Would you call it set collection?
No, it's more like a... You know what I relate it to? Is Race for the Galaxy.
Okay.
I think that's the game that maybe I have the closest. I mean, completely different theme, plays differently, but it's 1 deck of cards. You're using a card to do multiple actions. Yeah. They all have different uses. They're in their hand. They're always a resource. So it has that kind of feel for it in terms of the raw mechanics. But now the gameplay, yeah, it's completely different. There's some set collection. You can play the game that way. Yeah. It's really just trying to get as much money as you can. And something that was really cool in it is that there's you can collect checks in the game by cash as an action to turn your cash into checks. The cash that you earn is also worth victory points. It's not just checks, but your liquid capital maxes out at 40.
Right.
So when you're playing the game, you can be just kicking butt, but because of the way things work out, you're actually losing victory points because you've capped out the 40. The next turn you have to use an action to cash those in. If you at the end of the round, you have to pay $1 for every card in your hand. So if you completely cash out and then you mess up something, you owe money. The reason why there's kind of a rushed feeling to this is that you kill people by pitching cards from your hand to kill them, or buy them by pitching cards from your hands to buy them, or turn them into buildings by pitching cards from your hands to build them. But for every guy that you have dead, or if you have a guy dead at the end of your round, and there's any lawmen in your hotel, they find the body and you lose a bunch of money.
Yeah, you gotta bribe them.
So there's this thing where you can just go in guns blazing and basically just murder, and have all these big guys that you're going to eventually bury. Mm-hmm. But because of the 2 action limit, it's just this really interesting thing where you always feel like there's not enough to do on your turn because you're only doing that 1 action. Like you can't get enough done. You're always scrambling.
Right, and I like there's multiple. I feel like there's multiple for such a simple card game, really small box card game. Multiple strategies to employ.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are cards in the game that can let you do sort of I don't know what you call it. Well, I guess a set collection play where you're trying to get a bunch of something, and then there's this one card that gives you extra money if you have a bunch
for all
of
the red cards you have.
Yeah. But then there are cards that just make it easier to kill guys, which is kind of the most direct way to just get a bunch of money. And then there's other ones that make it easier to bury those guys. And then there are essentially, 4 suits in the game?
5 if you count the green ones that don't have any powers, yeah.
So there's the purple guys who have a coffin symbol who make it easier to bury things.
Mm-hmm.
If you build them in buildings, usually their buildings are making it easier to bury things. But also you play them from your hand, and it has that mechanic where the suits match actions in the game. So the coffin suit matches the bury action.
Mm-hmm.
So when you spin the coffin suited cards on a bury action, they return to your hand, which I'm sure I've seen in a game before, but it's not something you see a lot, which I thought was pretty cool. So you can use peasants and offsuit guys to pay for things, and they're just gone. But like you were saying, you only get 2 actions each round, so you never have enough actions to do everything. So if you can use those free buys with the proper suited cards, it just makes everything more efficient.
But then they flip it because, again, at the end of the round, every card you have in your hand, you have to pay them a buck because they're on your payroll.
Right.
So if you can't just fill your hand full of guys with guns so you can murder people for free, and guys with crypts so you can bury people for free, because now you have 6 cards in your hand, so you're losing $6 every round, and you're going to be making maybe more money than that, but it's not going to be as efficient as some other way. Because, and this is where you talk about the different strategies. Every time there's an engine you can build in this game, and that's what I always try to do. I try to get stuff. There's buildings you can build that affect the costs for things, let you build stuff for free, or kill stuff for free, or bury stuff for less, anyways. And that's always my focus in this game. It always makes me like I just get the engine running when the game ends, and so we're always close in points to somebody who's just spent the whole game kind of adapting as they go. It has an interesting flow that, you can kind of approach it from lots of different angles. Some people murder people like crazy. You can try to play the game. Like last game, I think I killed 1 person the entire game. I lost, but it wasn't because of that. It was because of other failings on my part. But it's all viable, and that's what I kind of like. It's a simple game. It's a simple mechanic. Cards, and you discard cards from your hand to do anything, and then but if the card you discard matches the suit, you get those cards back, so you can kind of get a more efficient turn.
I also like that this is a card game with a small board, and we've seen card games before with boards, and a lot of times they're just glorified placeholders or score trackers. This has a score tracker on the board
And placeholder stuff.
and placeholders, but there's a strategy, a kind of almost area control strategy to those places, because the places are rooms in the inn. Whoever's first player for the turn gets to put the guests in the rooms. He gets to choose which rooms they go in. At the end of the round, if you still have a guy in your room, you get money for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a room service marker you can put down, and then you're getting money when guys come into your room. So there's kind of a cool... there's decisions to make where to put guys, where to buy guys from, or where to kill guys from. So there's kind of a spatial relationship thing going there, whereas, you look at a game like Ascension that had a board, but it was really just a placeholder.
Yeah, for the piles of cards.
Yeah, it didn't really do anything else. And then you're going through the deck twice, which makes for a real interesting kind of ramp up to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Your strategy the second time through the deck, it might be the engine strategy that you had intended for the whole game, but you need to build to that point. And the deck's maybe half as big or so.
Because you've killed people or turned them into buildings as you play.
In that second run through, so you have much less time. It reminds me like a less brutal version of how I feel in Agricola, or also a little a lot of elements of this game, now that I think about it, remind me of Bruges. You got the multiple card uses for the cards. turning people into buildings or what have you, using them for cash. It does have a lot of that now that I think about it. But also in Bruges, I always felt kind of the same feeling where it's like, I'm ramping up, and game's over, you know. But anyway, the flow and the usage of the space, there's just a lot of different angles for such a small little box game.
Right, and I mean, I think that's what it gets down to in terms of the mechanics of it is there's lots of different ways to play. Even with the engine building, there isn't one engine, right? I mean, you can go big money engine, you can go free action engine, you can try to combine stuff. It seems to have such variety.
Yeah.
How does, and I know this was a sticking point for Dylan, how's the artwork for you?
I like the art. This is sort of a, Renaissance-y, maybe, 16th century, 17th century sort of feel to it. It's a French environment, peasants and nobles and middle-class folks. And the art feels like evocative of some like French paintings I might see. They're kind of a little bit Picasso-esque in their look. Not quite as crazy surreal as maybe Picasso stuff is.
You can definitely tell what everything is.
You can definitely tell what everything is, but it's definitely a style. And it's not going to be for everybody, but they committed to the style. It's through the whole, it's not like they use different artists for every card. It just has a feel all the way through. It totally works for me.
Right, and I'm kind of on the art itself, just because of the style and it's not something I like. But yeah, it's good quality for what it is. The graphic layout of the cards is superb. It's really easy to tell by looking at them what they do at a glance. They use the back of the cards even to explain more stuff. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of complaints at all about the art. It's not my style, but the quality of it's consistent and good. Yeah. What about other components? The card's quality itself, the chits, the pieces?
Cards are nice. They're a nice linen card. I like them. The chits and pieces, you don't really need a lot for this game. You have markers for your rooms. You have a tracker marker for your color, for your money. And you have these cool little 10 franc check chits. So it's all kind of to go into a kind of a portability, I think, is what they're going for here. This is definitely not the smallest box game I've ever seen, but it's a small box card game, easily portable. You don't need a ton of table space for it.
Yeah, this box itself is about twice as big as it needs to be for it.
True. Very true. So I think it's totally worth it. The price point on this game was not high at all. So, I was totally satisfied with that.
Okay, well then for taking into account quality of art, quality components, gameplay itself, what's your rating for it? And it's been a while, so let me go over it again real quick. We have a pass, which is, don't play this game, it's not fun. We have a like it, which is, I like it, I'll play it if it comes up, I'm not going to turn my nose up at it. It's a love it, which is, woohoo, I love this game, as per the title implies. I want to play it a lot, and then our highest award is the must buy, which is, this is the game of its genre, or that just everyone should have this game in their collection. So, where are you giving it?
Right now, having played this game multiple times, multiple player counts, pretty confident I've seen all the strategies in the base box. I don't know if they're going to do expansions for this or not. I'm going to call it a love it. It's not a must buy. However, it does have some uniqueness to it. It's pretty easy access, and it flows well. I enjoy it. It does have replayability. I'm almost talking myself into a must-buy, but it's not a must-buy. It's not unique enough. It's not bells and whistles enough. So it's a love it. I happily will keep this in my collection for the time being until we just destroy all the strategies and I'm fed up, which could be a while. But, I couldn't tell someone you must have this game. But I could tell people, play it. I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy it.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with a like it on it. For me, like I said earlier, it has a kind of a Race for the Galaxy mechanical vibe. And I know everyone in our group has different opinions about that. But personally, I think I'd like to sit down and play Race for the Galaxy over this game. I don't consider either of them like a must-buy. But because of its ranking in my mind, I'm going to go with a like it. So that is our review of The Bloody Inn. Thanks for checking it out. Let us know in the comments below if you played the Bloody Inn, if you enjoyed it, how you'd rate it. And as always, don't forget to like us, subscribe, and do all the clickety-clicks on all the different sites.
Tweet us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook.
And all the other things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got a thunder maker? Style, flair,